It's been a wee while, but the blockchain is alive with the sound of optimism. This week we're off the back of the Sorare AMA with Nicholas Julia and Dan from Sorare, where they went through the thousands of questions that were submitted from the community that wanted the answers for what are Sorare planning on doing, what innovations and iterations from what we've seen this season in the 24-25 European calendar that we could expect to see in the 25-26 season. And it must be said, without a shadow of a doubt, it was the most successful kind of AMA or communication project that I think Sorare have ever ran. If you've missed it, we did our full Quinny Scottish translation of it earlier this week. That's out on the channel now. If you haven't caught it, I highly recommend it because there was a lot of little nuggets throughout the AMA, and I think we did a really good job of capturing every single one of them and bringing them to the attention of any of you guys out there. So the video I did, it was much longer. There's a live recording with the members, so if you're a member you can go and check that out in its entirety, and if you're a member that's probably the best way to go about it. But if you're just a subscriber here on the channel, the edited, kind of trimmed, concise version is actually much shorter than the actual AMA itself. So if you've not seen any of it yet and you've been hearing from like tweets and other stuff or whatever, that's probably the best way for you to get your own opinion as well as hearing, you know, the main takeaways being kind of highlighted and brought up there. But with that optimism now cascading across the blockchain, I'm seeing lots of people making some different moves and now starting to, you know, get back into gear a little bit with getting the club, their strategy back on the right track and moving it forward to finish this season with as much of a bang as possible so that the next season they can start in the best way possible. And I am no different. In the video today, guys, we have been going on a bit of a spending spree. We have went through and vastly upgraded, and I'm going to say 3 different strategy strands that we've got running in the club, and we're going to go through that with you guys today as well as explain kind of what I'm thinking and feeling off the back of the AMA with the preparations I'm doing with the squad for next year and really how we're sitting for the remainder of this year. At any point in the video, if you do laugh, you learn, you like something or whatever, please do like and subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and get into the comment section and let me know yourself in the aftermath of the AMA. What have you been up to? Buying, selling, trading, consolidating, doing some house cleaning, maybe revamping the spreadsheet and the depth chart of your club. Always excited to see the comment sections on this one. And yeah, let's just get stuck straight into it. Because as many of you guys will be aware already, one of the kind of sore points in some of the innovations that we've had from Sorare has been the MLS hot streaks. Now, it's not really, well, maybe there's a little bit of a design flaw with the targets and the steps that were initially rolled out, and Sorare have kind of tweaked and edited them to make them, you know, a bit more achievable, a bit more fairly competitive. But the main problem has been MLS and how crazy it is. It's as crazy, it's as mad as a bag of frogs. And I have went out and I have reinforced the gallery with what I called on Twitter a fixture-proof player. And what I mean when I say that Lucio Acosta is fixture-proof is he is one of those guys that it does not matter who he's playing against. Yeah, he's not at the peak of his powers right now, but I don't care if he's playing San Diego, I don't care if he's playing Miami or anyone else. He is just going to play because I've seen this guy perform exceptionally well in Cincinnati towards this period here. We're better, don't get me wrong, but I've seen him perform exceptionally well in Cincinnati before when he was essentially a one-man team, and he's not too far off being the same thing at Dallas. So with a wee bit of acclimatization, they actually have some other pretty good players as well that have been injured and stuff like that. So I'm quite confident that Lucio here will be able to be our captain capable guy, one of our fixture proof type players that can almost certainly, almost always go into team 1 for us, if not team 2, and give us a much broader strength and depth. The main strategy we've had running in MLS, when it comes to in-season especially, has been really centred around the New York City like third generation collection that I've got on the go at the moment, as well as trying to add in some good value picks of guys I like, that I would like to use this year, and at the time the price points were all pretty appealing. For a small time as well, our strategy evolved so that our third in-season team, I actually prioritised that at limited to try and get us a sneaky way into the hot streak masters. Now that ship has sailed, this will essentially become the 4th lineup rather than the 3rd. So we're now looking at coming into next weekend at point of recording game week 78 with a really good breadth of strength across all 3 lineups. Now sadly we don't have any of them in Division 1. Hot streaks are still available and we only have one team that's streak capable because it has 5 in-season cards, or as an in-season card throughout the entire team. But the options I've got now in defence, midfield and attack, maybe attack has a little bit left to be desired. Let's see how Jadon Nelson recovers from injury after scoring at the weekend, and Pedrinho is coming onto a wee bit of a form. But for the most part, this budget strategy now kind of has all the elements, has all the pieces it needs to be a successful budget strategy. We've got a core squad as like the backbone of all the teams for, you know, all the main core positions, and then we've got enough different pieces. We've also got as well like a Kessler, legit, more backup guys for NYC as well in reserve, as it were, where, you know, like we should still have, for all three of these teams, they should have a good degree of viability. And then we're at the mercy of the MLS gods, the footballing gods, for do they actually score goals? Do they actually have a good game? And have we comboed together the right 5? And with Lucho Acosta coming in here, he makes a massive difference to the overall picture. If we take him back out and we scroll back a few weeks, you can clearly see the midfield pressure is like very firmly circled onto 2 or 3 guys. And to get that across 3 teams consistently and to have the rest of the team do well, you're just always asking for bother, especially in MLS where the midfielders can be, you know, regularly. There could be 2 or 3 guys popping above 85s, popping above 90s, maybe even multiple guys capable of bringing in 100. And very often those guys carry the captain's armband for all those teams we're competing against in the league. So between the guys we've got now, I'm quite comfortable and I'm quite confident that we've got a few captain choices, some stronger than others. We've got enough different options available for playing double forward, double defence, double mid, that kind of thing. And really now, failing bringing in Evander or Messi or Rossi or somebody like that, you know, we've kind of got the best of the bunch that we're going to run with. And now I feel the MLS strategy is like, it's firing on all cylinders. It's all ready to go now. There's no excuses. There's no real missing piece of the puzzle. Now, what I mean when I say that is I don't expect all 3 of these teams to win all their divisions every week and be the best team going. This is a budget strategy. So what we're hoping to do is pick our battles and get our wins when we can. And really, like I say, for the options we're able to cover, we're able to play 4 teams, free and rare. And with the frees in season, we're still able to chase a little bit of limited action with the hedge cards, the guys that might come off the bench, the ones we don't know if they're going to start, that kind of thing. So for 4 in-season teams of like a certain degree of strength, adding that 1 card in now, after I felt I did kind of felt that I'd done the business already, but I did know there was a hole in the team for a Ryan Gauld, for a Lucho Acosta, for someone that is in that mould. But I'm not going to be spending Hani Mukhtar money or Evander money or anything like that to bring that guy in. I'm looking for someone who's underpriced in the market and maybe has that potential to not only perhaps lift in value as the season goes on with an upturn in performances, but has the ability to lift the level of the team. They're not just fitting in to be another one of the guys that we're kind of, what should we do with him? Like I mentioned at the tip off of this, I see a guy like Acosta as fixture proof. He will be in this team every week. He might not always be the captain, but he probably will be quite often. And the strongest galleries are just covered in these players, and no matter what strategy, what league, what scarcity you're playing in, if you don't have anyone like that, it does just give you a lot more work to do. It gives you a lot more heavy lifting, and there's a lot more room for error in your team selection. Now, I'm not saying he's going to cure all my problems, obviously. We've just seen his recent form and scores. They're hardly anything to go nuts about, but he does have the potential. I've seen him play. I've eye tested him enough over the years where I'm very confident with that. I've also brought in Aidan O'Neill, who has transferred to NYCFC right at the deadline for the transfer window for them. And from the intel I've got, his visa should be in by around the 10th of May or so. So we get him into training. We'll maybe see him come to play for NYC over the next couple of weeks. And I'm hopeful that he could be another great player to bring in. And since the signing of him, I've noticed there's been a bit of a change of tactic. The return of Tavon Gray is maybe added into that as well. But this is a good lesson, I think, for those collection strategies, that when you do already have like a good clutch of the players in there, I've already decided there was some of them I wasn't going to buy, but in the kind of development of tactics that NYC might actually be going through right now, they're playing at the moment Andreas Perea a bit more regularly. He's playing in a pretty good spot where he could get some AA, maybe the odd decisive here or there. So picking a guy up like this for £4 with market credits, I think we only paid like £2 for him, and as you can see, the kind of rate he goes for on auctions and whatnot is very commensurate. It's just another nice option to have. I mean, you consider the depth. This is a guy that will probably go into Team 3 and Team 4 very often, but I wouldn't diminish the value of those guys as well, because he's just one part of those teams. You know, those teams might have a super sub off the bench that scores, might have an okay defender that's not that exciting but is going to start. they've got a good goalkeeper, etc. So I think the importance of having like that core club in MLS, maybe even two if you've got the budget or the scope to do so, is very, very important, so that you can kind of follow the trend of the team, the evolution of how their season's going, and then be able to make the best decisions for your team as possible. Now, like I mentioned with that Aidan O'Neill, he's just signed for NYCFC, so he just comes straight in, and we know that deal's done, and he should be an extra in-season card we can use. We'll get an NYC version when it becomes available, of course. But another little rumour that's came to me, a little birdie has told me that Celtic are going to sign Josh Brownhill on a 3 contract. His contract is up in the summer. He's been dominating the Championship and been quite prolific in the Premier League considering the team he's been at throughout his career for the last like 5 or 6 years, certainly anyway. And he is out of contract in the summer, and the rumour mill, the wee birdie on my shoulder, has been quite reliable. And I picked up this classic for £5. I'm sure it was. Yeah, £5.38. So I thought this was an absolute bargain. If you look at his scores in the Championship, very, very easy to imagine that these translate into the SPFL. And this gives me really big Matt O'Reilly vibes, SO5 wise. So this was a nice little speculation play for a £5 that I thought, why not? Let's just go and do it. And with the injuries Celtic have been picking up this year, and the way in-season prices are moving at the moment, Adam Ida is the most certain Celtic striker to start alongside Dyson Maeda. I've already got 4 Dysons across all 4 seasons, of course. We only have 1 Ida. But Adam Ida was listed on the market for like, even lower than all this, yeah, like £11. Oh wow, look at that public offer. Oh wow. That could have been even cheaper, even sweeter. But anyway, it was listed on the market for like 12 or 13 quid. So we went and we did a deal with the devil. We gave him a bunch of fodder. Oh, not that way, this way. We gave him a bunch of fodder of really cheap guys we've bought or we've won that we're never going to use. And we just rolled them up and sent them to him. And Pavel Trader, thanks very much, buddy, accepted the offer without reply, without negotiation or anything like that. So in the Celtic strategy, we've maybe got a little bit of an advancement ahead of some summer transfer business, and we're actually building a little bit of depth there for the last little bit of in-season to try and squeeze every pound and penny, every win we can get out of the contender in-season strategy for this season, as well as having a second classic Adam Ida ahead of next season. And if you're a Celtic fan watching this, he's shirt number 67. So when I seen Pavel had that, I thought, this is a bit of fate. I'm meant to get this card. And the third strand of the strategy of the club that we've went out and reinforced over the last little while has been a bit of a, heart over head for some of it. And then there's been a bit more of head over heart later on. And when I'm talking about heart over head, you've probably seen me tweet this out or seen it in my gallery already. But we have brought back the original, the OG Martin van der Weert from the very first season of Sorare, where he's detailed as a 17-year-old card here. It's the number 4 out of 100, which, is fine considering there was only 6 cards ever printed in that season for Martin. Now, I've spoken about this a few times. I won't go into it in too much detail, okay? But my favourite van der Weert here would probably be the 5 of, because it says 16 on the card. It also only says 16 on the super rare as well. I used to own the 1 of 100, and this was one of the pride and joys of my gallery before trading it to You Never Walk Alone, now known as DFS. And I've got to say, the trade at the time was very much worthwhile. We traded the Martin van der Weert and we brought in Callum McGregor Unique. Now, the deal was a bit busier. I also received a different van der Weert and had to essentially pay the price of the McGregor, but it was essentially having this van der Weert is what made the deal possible. And it was one we did with a very, very heavy heart. But as you guys will know, Callum McGregor Unique was in my club for a fair few seasons and won me a bucket ton. But it was one of those things where I always wanted to bring the Martin van der Weert OG Wonder Kid back to the club, and we'd missed some of them that had went on the market. The one I'd got, somebody else had bought it like 8 months ago. So I was always kicking myself whenever I missed one of these coming onto the market or not. I'm still interested in buying a van der Weert in the Leipzig collection, because I think that's just a nice career milestone checkpoint, his first kind of Leipzig card, because they signed him and then let him stay in Belgium for like 2-3 years, something crazy like that, before bringing him to Germany. Now, this season, we did expect Van der Weert was going to break into the Leipzig squad, get his debut, and start to be brought up to speed to play Champions League, Bundesliga, etc. It's not quite been as smooth or as busy as we would have hoped or have liked for this season, but towards the back end of the year, he's starting to get more minutes and more appearances. I'm probably going to play him between now and the end of the season as much as I can, because it's a goalkeeper, so why wouldn't you? But Leipzig's fixtures are pretty minging, so I'm not really holding my breath. This isn't really a utility play as such. I do expect him to be if not the number one at Leipzig, pretty set in to get like 10, 20 games across the season, across all competitions. There is the German Cup, which, is not great for us. We don't get utility for that. But there's European football, there's Bundesliga football, and there's a few other bits and pieces. I'm pretty hopeful he does become the established number one, but we've not heard anything to quantify that as of yet. But after bringing in that Van de Voort, that then led me to going back to the second Leipzig collection I've got on the go, the current in-season collection, because we got a few rookies. We got Rudel Baku and somebody else I forget, but we'd picked up some fun cards in there, and there's some fun players in that collection that I've long wanted an excuse to bring in, and it's just about waiting for them to fall to the right price point. And one player, Rudel Baku, the main reason I wanted to bring him in the Leipzig kit is because he was a big part of that German under-21 squad that will just live in my memory forever, it feels like, with Florian Wirtz, Schlotterbeck, Musiala, Adeyemi, etc. And David Raum, at that time at Hoffenheim, did so well. Leipzig bought him. He was bombastic at left wing back, however you want to think of him. And he's been pretty good for Leipzig overall. He's suspended for this weekend, so I won't be able to debut him as soon as buying him. He's been hot and cold in some places, but he does get purple patches. Very effective attacking player. He's taken some set pieces across this season as well, so that's something we're mindful of. And generally across the season, we won't see it in this little snapshot here, but this guy's card has been 80, 100, £120 quite consistently across the season before that back end of March into April period where the in-season premium is very firmly came off the cards. So we managed to pick him up now for £12. We'll get a little bit of in-season utility for £12. I actually really don't care how much in-season utility we get, because he'll be just really good for Classic for next year and help that Leipzig collection that we've got be kind of meaningful in composing an extra layer of variety of players to include. And the main thing I always try and highlight whenever we're chatting about opening up different collections and what percentage to get them to, yada yada, is thinking about what is the core piece of that collection that could make the biggest difference to your best and most important lineups. And looking at that Leipzig collection, there is only one man that could fit that bill, and we have finally done it. We have brought in a special edition, no less, Xavi Simons. Doesn't this card just absolutely pop? Liquid metal, liquid NFT, football and gold here. And Xavi Simons, big fan of him. I think he's been great at Leipzig. And if Leipzig don't qualify for the Champions League, he's got a gentleman's agreement that they will let him leave. They will sell him in the summer. And let's see how that goes between now and the end of the Bundesliga season. It's that transfer speculation is what mainly made me want to buy him sooner rather than later. I will use him. I will get some in-season utility out of him, because similar to Lucho Acosta, I don't really care who Xavi Simons is playing. He can still get 2 assists against Bayern Munich. He can still rip 80 plus scores against anyone, really. And having a guy like this play the last couple of games for in-season for me, he might actually be the difference maker. He might be the X factor that gets me my big cash win of the season from Champion Europe that I have, as of yet, not got yet. So really happy to bring him in. And I thought, by the way, for the right price at 86 quid for a special edition, Xavi Simons, to get a little bit of in-season utility, let's cross our fingers it's halfway decent. But even at Classic, the premium between Classic and in-season Xavi Simons at £86, I'm not really too concerned about not having a full season of utility out of him and all the rest of it. And again, it just adds another high quality player who's also under 23, so we do get some added utility with him. And I was buzzing to get that Van de Voort, Raum and Xavi Simons. And there's maybe 2 guys left in the current season, maybe 3 current season Leipzig collection that I will go and get. One being Van de Voort, maybe Lukeba, maybe another Wonder Kid or something like that. But feeling really good about the in-season cards that we've bought this year, the collections that we've got to 2 or 3% depending on what it is we're talking about. And kind of now, I'm pretty much done with in-season Europe, barring those little odd piece or two we can maybe pick up in the off-season at a really discounted rate to what we see at the moment. Now, as some of you guys will know, they've been following the channel and following the content over the last couple of weeks. This isn't the first splurge, especially into classic cards that we've had over the last month or two. I've made a big effort to really make my Champion Euro, especially gallery strategy, much more well-rounded, better quality of selections in every position, and we almost had our first big champ win of the season. We finished 11th. We absolutely nailed it with this lineup here. And I wasn't really torn directly between Pepe and Castellanos, but I knew Pepe on the wing was going to be amazing. I captained him in Team 2. If he'd had one better game in the lead up to this, he was definitely going to go into Team 1. But sadly, with some of the burn experiences I've had in the past of putting a player into a top side, maybe ahead of the pecking order, I resisted and I just left him in Team 2 here, which got promoted and picked us up a little Tier 5. But this team in 11th, sadly didn't win as a Tier 1, it won as a Tier 2. But by golly, was it a high-end Tier 2. We have won our second Strasbourg card of the season, and we have won Dylan Bakwa. Now Dylan, or Delane, I'm not too sure what it is, Bakwa, where everyone just calls him, under 23 forward card as well, who has been one of the rippers this season at right wing back. I'm not even really too sure his role, but he gets tons of AA. He's very friendly to a decisive or two, and again, similar to Xavi Simons, a player this powerful coming in at the tail end of the season could make a massive difference to the budget. Kind of focus on classic strategy to win good in-season cards. This could really end up being the cherry on top of the cake that really shows the champion strategy that we've ran this year ultimately being successful. We've bought in-season cards where we can, where they're cheap enough, and we've won good cards that can enhance what we're doing as often as we possibly could for the strength of gallery we've had. Teji Saverniers, Gross, Salah, which we turned into Rafinha, Bakwa now, and there's probably one or two others I'm forgetting as well. But this was a delightful win to pick up, despite the heartache of not playing Pepe in the top team, because we would have won the division. Make no mistake about it. And this is a beautiful, beautiful reward card. I don't know if we should be putting Bakwa actually into the Hall of Fame here, if I can look at my club here. So our top rewards we've got displayed here. We've got Rafinha, who's our like non-biological reward, because we traded Salah for Rafinha. But I think we could maybe drop Teji for Bakwa. But I think Teji is more of a kind of iconic card, isn't he? So I'm not too sure. Jury's out. You can let me know that in the comment sections. Would you put Bakwa in over Teji into the trophy cabinet? That'll be an interesting one to see and check out from you guys. Now, this is only the first draft. But again, guys, as I come into the weekend to build and thrash my lineups out, like the La Liga stuff is kind of fine and whatever. But genuinely, like everywhere, I just love my gallery. I love the different collections I've got dovetailing with one another. I love the strength that I've got. And I'm not saying I'm the strongest or I'm going to win everything. Of course, I think a lot of you guys get that already. But I've got all sorts of shapes and sizes of players. I've got lots of ability to mix and match different guys with different profiles, with different fixtures, in a variety of competitions. Where really now, as I'm scrolling through this, like, really, tell me how many of these teams, and I'm not talking about the training lineups, of course, but how many of the teams, double Adamida now, are not viable, are no hopers, I've got no chance at all. It's very, very slim, and that's something that as a club, as a player, as a manager, whatever, I've been very conscious of this season, is building quality, building depth, and building synergy all the way through the club, where, like, similar to what we showed with MLS, if you see what I'm doing in Contender, where all my excess in-season cards can be played unlimited. We've had some great success with this. We had 3 of them in Division 1. We've now got 2 of them in Division 2, sadly. But we've really, I think, come on to a really smart strategy. And we've maybe been a bit slow, just down to my own wallet, and not been able to buy all this stuff at the beginning of the season. We're now, like, we're playing so many competitions with such a good degree of strength, and we're able to rotate different players and bring different guys in, depend on the different style of specialist competitions. Moses Caicedo, of course, how could I forget about him earlier in terms of good wins that we've had. And genuinely, like, honestly, every team I build, I'm really stuck for options in a good way. You know, so many headache potential cards. And I can even build teams like this that are just super fun. Like, all former Celtic players, obviously Frimpong we don't have a Celtic card for, but, you know, just good crack teams like this are everywhere, as well as, like, smart stacks or viable kind of strategy combos of 2 of this team, 3 of that team, or a bunch of teams that are just made up of individuals. And sincerely really excited to see how we finish the season off and get set for the next European season, as well as keeping on with the MLS stuff throughout the summer as well. Not just with all the in-season stuff we're speaking about there, but like I mentioned, I've got 3 seasons of NYC Classics, and we're starting to get this Classic Seattle collection that we've been eyeing up since we had it back in Limited years and years ago for pennies on the dollar, as they say, where we're picking up guys like Yaimar for a tenner and Roldan for £7 and whatnot. And yeah, like, sincerely, like, there's not much, like, if I had all the money in the world, there's not really many rares that I would, like, want to bring into my gallery now at this point. Sure, there's always room for Messi's and Yamals and all that stuff, obviously, but in terms of the way I've been playing the game, the players I've zoned into, the collections I've doubled into, I don't want to say doubled down, but doubled into, it's almost a complete set now, a proper kind of Quinny, ID of, you know, the players I follow, what I like about football, the clubs I like their signing policy, the players, the roster they run with, all that good stuff. And we're now at 403 rares, which is incredible. I've still only got 63 super rares, and that's just a wee kind of side note in this one, because we bought a few guys. Like, we bought Sabitzer and JJ in the summer last year because they were like really cheap and I like them both. We bought Robbo for 80 quid. We got Elena for 20 quid. Lenormand for 35. And then we won. The season's not over yet, but we've won or crafted 6 super rares. I'm hoping to get that up to like 7 or 8 at least. And then we can maybe look at that as a strategy, how it panned out. But so it's been all about rare for me. And the thing with this as well, as you'll see, I've only got 21 limiteds, but I play a lot of limited competition. And the main thing I like about limited is the goalkeepers. You know, I can get 3 Sinisalos, I can get 3 Schmeichels, I can have a Freeze, I can get Gunn because he's Scotland utility and whatever, some handcuffs and all the excess cards that maybe I don't want to put in a priority lineup, but I still want them to try and win me some money, get that utility, get that access. So sincerely couldn't be happier with the way things have went this season. When we've been doing the cash card and boxes videos, I'm always surprised at how well we're doing in terms of winning that stuff. We're probably due one of them at this stage, but we'll probably hang off when it's due and just kind of do it end of the season, because that's only a matter of weeks away now at this point. And it will probably be one of my worst years for yield on Sorare, quite frankly. But like I've mentioned consistently throughout the year, my focus has been on rebalancing and dialing in my strategy right into the new format, and I think you can see quite clearly I've fucking done it, you know. and we're cooking my gas, we're kicking ass, and we're taking names. And really now it's all about raking in some cream between now and the end of the season, sailing into the summer and getting ready for the biggest season ever on Sorare next year. I'm going to say it now. I'm going to call it. It's going to be mentally good. I'm so excited for it. On screen now, some other stuff that I've made that YouTube thinks you might enjoy. If you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button if you enjoyed the video. Get into the comment section and let me know what you've been up to in the aftermath of the AMA. I hope you've enjoyed this one, guys. I always enjoy making these videos and bringing them to you, of course. Looking forward to catching the comments. Stay out of trouble, and I'll catch you on the next one.